Hello, welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, the strategies, and the insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Brenton Thomas of Twibi Agency. How's it going, Brenton?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Brent, I'd love to just start this off by learning a little bit more about you and your background and a little bit more about your agency.
Yes, yeah. So my background, I've been in digital marketing for 8 years now, and originally started in corporate for about, I would say, 4.5 of the 8 years, and then during the pandemic, I had lost my job just due to the company that I was working with was struggling a little bit, and then that actually led to me starting my own agency, Twibi Agency, and that's been a great experience ever since. About 3.5 years in business, and it's been wonderful.
That's awesome. So, okay, you're a director of lead gen at a company, right? And unfortunately, like a lot of people during COVID, you lose your job. Why not go into another job? Like, what was the catalyst behind being like, you know what, I'm gonna go out and do this by myself?
Yeah, so I really like the flexibility. And so I had been consulting on the side
Okay.
for years before I started the agency. So I'd say like 2 years before I started the agency, I like the consulting side a lot more, just being able to choose my hours and choose who I work with. And I found in corporate, it's kind of a struggle for me to like, it's not the hardest working person that gets the promotion. It's the one that kind of like is able to schmooze and kind of talk to the VPs and the SVPs, et cetera. So that aspect, I just wasn't a fan of it.
Mhm.
And so I get to just focus on the work and being a consultant or a business owner, the better the quality of the work, the more you get paid. And it's not like that in corporate. So
Yeah.
I really like that connection.
That's cool. I mean, not many people would do that, right? Most people would get back on the horse and just try to find the next job. I mean, were there moments where you're like, dang, did I really choose the right path here? Like, should I have done that? Or should I have gotten another job? Or was it always just like, I know this is what I want to be doing?
Yeah. So the job that my last corporate job that was 3.5 years ago, they let me go and they gave me some severance that lasted for about 3 months. And in that 3 months, I had another job that would have paid about 140,000, and the last job paid 120. So I was interviewing, going through multiple rounds, and I was like, I think I might go for this job. But in the time of my severance, the revenue of the company started to increase,
Mm.
and it started to outshine the 140. And it was like, well, this is pretty simple. It's like this opportunity with the business is going to pay me more. And on top of that, I get the flexibility, and it's attached to like the better quality of my work, the more I get paid. So like all the aspects that I cared about came together on the business side.
Yeah, definitely. Would you say that like your experience as a director of lead gen does that kind of play now into like you really know how to get leads for your agency? Because that's something that a lot of agencies struggle with. Like, what do we do and how do we do it? Like, we can you share some tips, tricks with the audience to get consistent leads that are ready to hop on?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So there's a lot I can say about that, but I'll just kind of like really summarize it. But I would say one of the most important things is not every business can just show ads and then have like warm leads that are ready to convert, right? So like sometimes I'll start with the client and we'll start with Google ads, and the intent is there based on their search term, but I just can't convert them for like really specific industries that are super niche. Like I had a client that helped with like the air quality of your building, right? And it's only like for like labs, right? Super specific. And
Mhm.
like we could not get conversions, but now we switched over to LinkedIn ads and we're doing content marketing. So we have to educate you first. So it
Mm.
kind of depends. So like you can't always convert the person immediately. You might have
Yeah.
to like nurture them.
Yeah, for sure. And so for your own agency, like your clients, have they been mainly through referrals and that type of stuff, or do you do outreach as well?
Yeah, mostly through referrals. So we do some cold email marketing to try to
Nice.
drum up some leads. It's been a little tougher, I'd say the last maybe year, The economy's a little beat up, but
Yeah, and
yeah.
also just, all these crackdowns on email, right? It's deliverability and all that stuff. So I hear you, but referrals are such a good way to grow your business. And so, you guys specialize in Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, SEO, and even email marketing. I mean, how do you ensure speed and precision in delivering these services without compromising quality? And are there any strategies that you guys employ to maintain such like high standards?
Honestly, it's just longer hours, it's just it's like we want to provide the best possible service. So usually I'm super hands-on. We're a smaller agency. So really that just means, working, at midnight, 1 in the morning sometimes.
Oh wow.
Uh yeah, to make sure the quality's there no
Yeah,
matter what.
it's awesome. And so, in terms of your clients, you prefer working with clients who understand that high performing campaigns take time to develop and are collaborative and reaching their goals with you guys. I mean, how do you set these expectations and foster that collaboration so you guys can achieve successful outcomes together?
Yeah, so I'll when I'm speaking to a client, let's say it's a new client, I'll give timelines of like when we can expect certain things or certain numbers to happen. And usually it's all based on the efficiency of the ad spend in
Hmm.
relation to like what you get back, right? So usually I'm looking at like ROAS or ROI or something like that. And I'll say, we're not going to see ROI for like lead generation for like 5 months. And we need to go all in, but we should see signs that we're headed in the right direction just through the quality of the leads. And
Yeah.
then I'll ask them like, what is your sales cycle? If they say 6 months, then it's like, well, then actually we can't see ROI for 6 months then. So trying to set like a tangible amount of time for when we can expect to see certain numbers helps quite
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah. So setting the expectation up front is so, a lot of the stuff it's you got to put in a little bit before you get out, right? It's just one of those things where it takes time. On that note, actually, I mean, how do you, like in your experience, how do you balance the immediate benefits of paid advertising with the sustained growth offered by like SEO or email marketing, especially with clients that like really want those like quick results?
Yeah, so it depends on like how quick you want the results.
Hmm.
So if you can wait like a whole year and you really want to like take your time and like find the leads, you already have sustainable flows of like revenue through other sources or other channels, and you're trying to like build up something through digital, then I would recommend SEO. But if you need like really quick results and get your sales team activated and they're starting to get some leads to start working, then definitely paid ads. And then usually after about 3 to 4 months, we'll know if like it's working, like trying to get the lead who's already warm to convert. And then if it's not working, I'll usually convert. I'll switch the channel from Google Ads over to LinkedIn ads. And we'll start doing content marketing. And that usually always works.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. It sounds like you have a pretty good strategy. Like you said, you've been in it for 8 years, so you kind of know your way around. And usually, I'm sure it's to the point now where you can, get a new client in and understand their industry and understand how long before they'll start to see like an ROI. Is that right?
Yeah, it's fair. I think even though I'll express how long it's going to take for something to like happen, I
Hmm.
definitely think some clients will start the process and then they get a little impatient. So we
Hmm.
don't get to like finish it all the way through.
Right.
But the ones that stick around, they get like pretty solid results.
That's great. So, you've expressed, I just wanted to shift gears for a second, but I know you expressed the opinion that AI is currently limited and you're likening you kind of a glorified spell checker, as you said, right, off camera, but it just doesn't provide meaningful, actionable information to impact a business's bottom line just yet. I mean, could you elaborate a little bit more on your perspective regarding AI's role in digital marketing and especially what advancements you think are necessary for it to be like a more effective tool?
Yeah, how much time do we have? I have a lot to say about AI, but as a digital marketer inside of Facebook ads, there's something called Advantage Plus,
Mhm.
and then Advantage Plus in the form of Advantage Plus Creative, Advantage Plus Audiences, Advantage Plus, etc. And so, like Advantage Plus, I'll just use an example. A real example that I've dealt with is the Advantage Plus, like music that they add. So AI will scan your ad and what you typed and it will determine what music it should like add to your ad automatically. And so I've had clients that, like a nonprofit I was working with, and their goal is to get K through 12 students to like get people to donate to K through 12 students. And so the AI music put in like Spanish music that was like completely unrelated to like what the goal was.
Yeah.
Or I had another client, I was trying to get people to a wine tasting. So they need to go to the winery and enjoy the experience, right? And so the AI put in, it was like, the song was called I Hate It Here. And it's like, well, that's the opposite. I love it here, you know, like I want you to love the experience that I'm trying to promote.
Right.
So I just think like AI at this point is just not smart enough. And it's to the point where it's like, it's actually doing like more harm than it's doing like more good. So there's a lot of like extra clicks you have to do to like turn off all the AI inside of Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. I know they're really trying to push it in the recommendations and stuff. You get it for like every ad set all the time. And you're just like, dismiss, you know, like stop recommending this. I don't want it. And I think it's a great tool to help. I just don't think it's a good tool to replace. And I think that's a common sentiment across a lot of business owners, it seems like, where they're like, well, I could just have AI do it. Before, that person that like, you know, what was replacing AI was like, oh, I could just have my, you know, Gen Z niece or nephew run my social media. It's that same type of thing where it's like, I don't understand it, so I'm just going to pass it off to someone or something else. And you're right, it does require that oversight right now still, and it's getting better and better. And I think we're going to see advancements soon, you know, very quickly. It's one of those things, but I absolutely agree. You know, I don't think that if like the invention of AI should you know, influence how exactly you're running your business just yet.
Yeah. And I think, okay, so I agree. I think in time, AI will become extremely smart, but it's a matter of like, as it becomes smart, where does that data come from? The data set, right? And so in order for Facebook to get that data set, it's basically making advertisers pay to teach their system. But while the system's getting smarter, you're getting bad results. And so I'm opting out of all of that. And then once it gets smarter, like I'll come back in maybe a few years later, and then I'll jump back into it and see how it does. But across all of my clients, it tanked everything until I turned it off. So you know, other people can spend their money to test it. You know, that's fine. And then I'll come in and try to benefit from it years from now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I really like the viewpoint you have on that. And I think coming back to it in a couple of years, seeing and evaluating and seeing if it's really right for your clients is the smartest way to go about it. Brenton, this has been awesome. Where can people find out more about you, and where can people find out more about your agency?
Yeah, so I'll send you some notes. You know, you can add them to the show notes. But you can reach me at bthomas@twibieagency.com. That's TWIBI. Or you go to twibieagency.com. And then I'll also give you a Calendly link if anyone wants to talk to me, you know, one-to-one.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, cool. Thank you so much for being on, Brenton.
Yeah, thanks for having me.